Maybe this is where your real life begins. Not when people clap for you, not when someone finally understands you, not when help arrives at the perfect time, but here, in the quiet, in the strange hour when your phone stays silent, your efforts go unnoticed, and the world gives you nothing back. That is the moment most people panic. They think they are losing ground. They think they are being forgotten. They think the silence means failure. But what if the silence is not your ending? What if it is the moment your old life stops carrying you so a deeper strength can finally wake up? Stay with me, because this is where everything changes. There comes a point when you can no longer lean on praise, comfort, rescue, or permission. No hand reaches in, no sign appears, no voice says, "You are safe now, you can relax." And that absence hurts. It cuts deeper than people admit, but it also reveals something powerful. When no one is there for you, you are forced to meet the part of yourself that has been waiting to rise, not the polished part, not the part made for show, the deeper part, the steady part, the part that can walk through dark seasons without being carried. And if you are in that season now, listen closely. You may not be falling apart. You may be stepping into the first real chapter of your strength. There are seasons when your life does not look broken from the outside, yet inside something feels paused. You keep going, you keep working, you keep handling what needs to be handled. But underneath all of it, there is a quiet expectation that something from the outside will eventually change everything. Maybe someone will notice you. Maybe the right chance will appear. Maybe one conversation, one message, one lucky turn will suddenly move your whole life forward. And while you wait, you do not see what the waiting is costing you. A part of your energy stays frozen. A part of your will stays on hold. A part of your life remains unopened. This is how many people lose years without realizing it. Not because they are weak, but because they still believe rescue will arrive on time. Sometimes that belief was built long ago, in moments when someone really did step in and save the day. So the mind learns a quiet pattern. When things get hard enough, help will appear. But life does not always repeat the past. There are long stretches when no one comes, no door opens, no one gives you the role, the love, the approval, or the chance you thought would finally begin your life. And what collapses in that moment is not your future. It is the illusion that your future depends on being chosen. That collapse feels cruel at first, but it is also clean. It cuts you free, like a boat sitting still in open water, waiting for a current to carry it home. You finally realize the sea owes you nothing. The moment you stop waiting and take hold of the wheel, your real movement begins. When that old hope starts to break, something else happens that is harder to explain. Your attention begins to turn inward. Before, so much of your mind was tied to what was happening outside you. Plans, reactions, messages, impressions, social signals, the next task, the next answer, the next proof that you were still moving in the right direction. But when those outer anchors grow quiet, the inner world gets louder, not all at once, not in a dramatic way, more like a dim room slowly becoming visible after the lights go out. Memories return without warning, old feelings rise without clear cause. You notice patterns in your reactions that were always there, but hidden beneath noise and speed. This part can feel uncomfortable, slow, empty, even heavy. Many people rush to escape it. They fill every open space with distractions because stillness feels too close, too honest. But if you do not run, you begin to see something important. The silence is not empty, it is deep. There is a whole layer of you that does not speak in clean sentences. It speaks through tension, images, repeating thoughts, sudden grief, old longings, and unnamed fear. An old story tells of someone who had to go underground, not to win a battle outside, but to face what could only be found in darkness. That is what this stage feels like. You are not being punished. You are being led inward. And yes, it is strange. Yes, it can feel like losing your direction, but stay with it, because the people who learn to walk into their own inner night often come back carrying a kind of clarity that noise can never give. Then another question rises, and it is sharp. If nobody sees you, will you still keep going? This is where many people discover a truth they never wanted to face. A lot of their effort was connected to being witnessed, not always by a crowd, sometimes just by a few people. A little praise, a little feedback, a little sign that what they were doing mattered. There is nothing wrong with that. We are human. We respond to attention. But when attention disappears, your relationship with your work gets exposed. Would you still write if no one read it? Would you still train if no one admired the result? Would you still build your life if no one said you were doing well? Think of a woman who used to share her words online every day. At first, people responded. She felt alive, seen, confirmed. Then over time, the reactions faded. The same effort no longer brought the same reward. For a while, she almost stopped, not because she had nothing to say, but because she had linked the act to the response. Later, in silence, she returned to the page. No posting, no waiting, no checking, just the work itself. And that was the first time the work became real. The brain loves reward, it loves feedback, it loves the loop of action and praise. But there is another level of strength, and it begins when you keep acting after the applause is gone. That is when the action stops being a performance and starts becoming an expression. Stay with this part because it matters. The person who can keep moving in silence becomes dangerous in the best way. Hard to shake, hard to stop, hard to distract from the path. As you keep acting without being noticed, a deeper layer starts to crack open. You begin to see how much of your value was built through other people's eyes. For years, maybe most of your life, you understood yourself through response. If people appreciated you, you felt worthy. If they needed you, you felt important. If they praised you, you felt solid. And when that mirror disappears, your sense of self can wobble in ways that are painful and confusing. There are people who only feel real when they are useful. The listener, the helper, the stable one, the one who carries everyone else. Then one day, the relationship ends, the role changes, the room empties, and suddenly they do not know who they are without being needed. That loss can feel like identity collapse, but look closer. What is falling apart is not your true worth. It is the image that used to reflect it back to you. Society teaches you to wear a social face, a mask that helps you fit, perform, adapt, survive. That mask has a purpose, but if you begin to mistake the mask for your whole self, you will live at the mercy of every reaction around you. The moment the mirror is removed, you feel invisible, yet invisibility is not the same as absence. You still exist, even when no one is confirming it, and that realization changes everything. Because real value does not begin when someone notices it. Real value is there before the room responds, before the world agrees, before anyone gives it a name. This is the hard middle stage. The old reflection is gone, but the new inner anchor has not fully formed. Be patient there. Do not rush to find a new audience just to feel real again. After this, your energy starts changing direction. For a long time, it may have flowed outward into people, goals, approval, plans, and dreams attached to the external world. You chased things, reached for things, invested yourself into things that seemed to promise meaning. But when those outer hooks lose their grip, your energy does not vanish. It turns inward, and this stage is easy to misunderstand. Many people think they are becoming lazy, numb, or lost. They say, "I do not feel driven like before," and assume something is wrong. But not all quiet is failure. Sometimes quiet is redirection. Think of a river that can no longer move the old way. The water does not disappear. It gathers, it deepens, it presses against a new path. From the outside, it looks still. Underneath, pressure is building. There was once a struggling writer with almost no support, no strong place in the world, no big signal saying success was near. During that lonely period, much of her energy stopped scattering into survival through appearances and began gathering inside imagination. A world started forming in silence, not because anyone demanded it, not because anyone praised it, but because inward energy, when protected long enough, begins creating. This is why you must be careful in lonely seasons. Do not insult your stillness too quickly. Do not label every quiet chapter as weakness. Sometimes your life looks less active because it is reorganizing from the roots. The old outer structure cannot carry your next level, so your inner world begins building a new one. It is not loud, it is not glamorous, but it is powerful. And if you do not rush to fill the silence with random noise, you may discover that what feels like emptiness is actually stored force. Then comes one of the toughest lessons of all. You have to learn how to stay with your emotions without always handing them to someone else to hold. Most people do not notice how often they rely on others for emotional regulation until those people are no longer available. In the past, when anxiety rose, you reached out. When sadness hit, you spoke. When confusion built, you searched for someone to calm it, name it, reduce it, or carry part of it for you. Again, this is human. But there comes a season when that option is not there. No immediate comfort, no quick reply, no safe place to unload everything, and now you are left alone with what you feel. At first, this can seem unbearable. Emotions feel louder when there is no escape route. But something important starts happening when you stop running. You notice that emotions move in waves. They rise, they tighten, they peak, they pass. They are real, but they are not commands. They are experiences. A strong river can pull you under if you throw yourself into it, but if you stand on the bank and watch closely, you begin to see its rhythm. Your inner life works the same way. Not every feeling needs a reaction. Not every ache needs a dramatic answer. Not every fear means danger. This is not about becoming cold. It is not about suppressing what you feel. It is about learning the difference between feeling something and becoming ruled by it. And once you gain even a little space between the emotion and the response, your life begins to change. Because now you can remain present inside yourself without immediately reaching for escape. If you stay long enough in that practice, something quiet begins to form inside you. You stop seeing emotions as enemies and start seeing them as signals, visitors, weather passing through a wider sky. This is where real steadiness begins. Not the fake steadiness that looks calm while breaking inside, but the deeper kind that can sit in discomfort without collapsing. The first few times you do this, it may feel harder than reacting. It may feel like the pain is getting bigger. But what is actually growing is your ability to witness it clearly. And clear seeing is powerful. A person who can sit with loneliness without instantly numbing it, who can face grief without turning it into chaos, who can feel fear without obeying it immediately, becomes very different from the version of themselves that used to depend on outside soothing. This is a new kind of freedom. It means your peace is no longer fully controlled by who texted back, who stayed, who approved, who comforted, or who understood. Listen carefully because this part is easy to miss. The goal is not to need no one. The goal is not emotional isolation. The goal is to stop collapsing every time support is absent, to become a person who can carry their own inner weather with more grace, to become someone who does not turn every difficult feeling into proof that something is wrong. When you gain that capacity, you stand differently, you speak differently, you choose differently. And even when life is uncertain, there is a growing sense that you are no longer completely at the mercy of your shifting inner state. That is a huge change, and it is one of the reasons lonely seasons can become turning points instead of endings. After all of this, identity itself starts to change. Not the shallow identity made of labels and roles, but the deeper feeling of being someone. Most people know themselves through structure, their job, their title, their place in a group, the way others describe them, the role they play in a relationship, the image they maintain. But when those structures loosen or fall away, a strange space opens up. You can no longer define yourself in the old easy ways, yet you also begin to sense that maybe you do not have to. There was a man who spent years speaking, guiding, and being seen as important in the eyes of others. Then one season of silence removed all of that. No stage, no title, no audience. And without those familiar signals, he felt lost. He said he no longer knew who he was when he was not performing the role people knew him by. But slowly, in the quiet, something changed. He kept reading, kept thinking, kept living, not to prove anything, not to maintain an image. And over time, he discovered a strange relief. He no longer needed a fixed definition to feel real. This is one of the deepest shifts a person can go through. You stop trying to become a solid image and start becoming a living presence. Flexible, aware, less trapped by labels. The old story of who you are begins to weaken, and in its place comes something simpler and more stable. You are here, you are conscious, you are moving, you are alive. That may sound small, but it is not. It is the beginning of an identity that does not crack every time the environment changes. This is also where your daily life starts asking for a new kind of discipline. Not loud discipline, quiet discipline, the kind that nobody praises, the kind that changes everything anyway. When no one is there for you, mornings matter more. The first hour matters more. What you do with silence matters more. You cannot build an inner life if every spare second is spent escaping it. So the work becomes simple and serious. Sit with yourself before the world enters. Write down what is real before other voices tell you what to think. Walk without always needing noise in your ears. Finish small promises to yourself. Keep your word in private. Clean the room. Train the body. Read pages that strengthen your mind. Return to the craft even when there is no reward waiting. These acts look ordinary, but they are not small. They teach your system that your life is still worth tending, even in unseen seasons. And each time you keep one of these private agreements, you send yourself a message stronger than motivation. I am still here and I will not abandon myself. That message matters more than hype, more than inspiration, more than temporary intensity. Because lonely chapters are dangerous when you stop leading yourself, but they become sacred when you do. So if you are in that place now, do not ask only, who is with me? Ask, how am I meeting myself each day? That question can rebuild a life from the inside out. And yes, it happens slowly, but slow does not mean weak. Slow roots often hold the strongest trees. There is another trap you need to see clearly. When support disappears, people often rush to replace the feeling rather than understand it. They chase quick comfort, constant scrolling, empty talking, new attachments, noise for the sake of noise, attention for the sake of relief. They do not want to feel the gap, so they fill it with anything available. But temporary relief can become a hidden prison. If you are always rushing to cover your emptiness, you never learn what that emptiness is trying to teach you. And often, it is teaching you something direct. It is showing you where you outsourced your strength, where you attached your peace to unstable things, where you made another person, another role, another goal, or another future moment responsible for your aliveness. This is why some people are never truly alone, yet never truly solid. Their whole inner structure depends on constant external contact. The moment contact weakens, panic begins. But if you can resist the urge to instantly medicate every uncomfortable space, you start reclaiming power. You start seeing patterns. You start noticing how quickly your mind reaches for rescue, distraction, fantasy, or substitute validation. That noticing is gold, because once you can see the pattern, you are no longer completely trapped inside it. And this is where your standard must rise. Not in a harsh way, in an honest way. Stop asking every new person, every new opportunity, every new escape to save you from facing yourself. Some doors are meant to comfort you, but some closed doors are meant to mature you. Learn the difference. It can save years. And as this process deepens, your movement through the world changes in a way other people may not even understand. You stop chasing every invitation to be seen. You stop explaining yourself so much. You stop begging for understanding from those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You become less dramatic, but more powerful, less reactive, but more precise. There is a kind of strength that does not need to announce itself. It simply shows up each day and does what must be done. It does not depend on mood. It does not wait for perfect support. It does not collapse because nobody noticed the effort. That kind of strength is built in private. And when it becomes part of you, your relationships improve too, because now you are not entering every connection starving for confirmation. You are not asking every room to tell you who you are. You are not loving from panic. You are not performing from emptiness. You are bringing something steadier, something cleaner, something real. That does not mean life becomes easy. It means your center becomes harder to steal. And that changes how you work, how you choose, how you recover, how you speak, how long you stay stuck, and how deeply you trust yourself when the path gets dark again, because it will get dark again. That is life. But the next time it does, you will know something you did not know before. Silence is not always a threat. Solitude is not always abandonment. Lack of applause is not always failure. Sometimes these are the exact conditions that reveal whether your life belongs to you or to the reactions around you. So if you are walking through a season where nobody seems to be there for you, do not rush to call it a curse. It may be one of the most honest seasons of your life. Painful, yes. Unfair at times, yes. Quiet in ways that can shake you, yes. But honest, because it removes what was covering the truth. It shows you what you still expect from others. It shows you where your energy leaks. It shows you what you do only when someone is watching. It shows you how much of your worth was built from reflection. It shows you whether you can stay with your own mind, your own emotions, your own path without constant external support. And that is not a small test. That is a life-shaping one. Keep going. Even if the progress feels invisible, even if no one claps, even if the world gives you no clear signal yet. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet were formed in places where nothing looked impressive from the outside. Their power grew in hidden rooms, in ordinary mornings, in unanswered nights, in silent rebuilding, in the long decision to not give up on themselves just because no one else stepped in. And maybe that is where you are now. Not behind, not forgotten, not finished, just being rebuilt in a deeper way. If that is true, then do not waste this chapter. Let it refine you. Let it strip away what was false. Let it teach you how to stand, how to move, how to remain, and how to become steady without needing the world to hold you up. Because in the end, real strength is not the loud ability to conquer everything outside you. Real strength is the quiet ability to stay with yourself, trust your own steps, and keep walking even when nobody comes.